Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I'm just playing with my little infuser. We are here to do serious things today, ladies and gentlemen. We have a book, The Thames to the Solent by J.B. Dashwood, to read. And we will do that. We will. I feel like the microphone is right on top of me today. Get back, you swine. I hope you are all well, especially George. Is he all well? I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm in a strange mood today. Wait, I am in a strange mood every day. Oh, yes. Sorry, there's a sign up there that says, you are in a strange mood every day. Yes, it's true. Anyway, welcome along. Thank you for coming. To the lovely Julia, hello. To Turbo Stream, hello. Michael White, hello. Andrew Norris, what ho, prepare for some stories. And Waffle. Cooper, 68, hello. Are we actually recording? Yes, we are. Cooper, 68, nice to see you. Ben Reeve, Justine Jones, Billabong O'Neill, Dave over yonder, Audrey Forbes, Lee Lawson, still sitting quietly behind Julia, I won't say a word. Whatever. And Glenn Colley, good afternoon to you, Glenn Colley. Lovely to see you. Cooper's retrieved a message. I wasn't too quick enough to see it. Billabong O'Neill, food is good. Go Cat. It's got to be meat-based. Yes, I know. Stephen Agger, good afternoon, Richard. And can't wait till we get to Wisborough Green and the Arran. Aha, yes, aha. Rhymy Boo, what kind of tea are you drinking, Richard? Well, today is something a bit different. Ginger and lemon. Yesterday I had lemon and ginger. They may be the same. They may be the same. But I've used different water. Thank God. Philip Hammond and Mary, good afternoon. How are we doing? We're not quite 4 o'clock. I was a bit early. I've had a sort of funny... don't know what I'm looking at. I've had a sort of funny afternoon, really. I managed to get everything done, and then I felt guilty when I sat down to read. I was reading something else. Felt guilty. Tried to go and do something else. Then felt guilty that I should have been reading, so I went and did a bit more reading. Then I thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't be reading. I should be answering comments. So I went and answered some comments. Then I thought, oh, I better get the essay lit, otherwise it won't be ready at 5 when we finish. So I went, so, yes. It's Friday, isn't it? We can all relax on Friday. Just one of those days. You know, the sun was not really shining. Then it came out. Oh, maybe I should have gone for a proper walk. Oh, no, look at it now. And now, looking out the window, in the little crack that I can see, it looks like blue sky to the north of Worthing, where Lee Lawson is. Probably blue sky out there. Anyway, God knows what we were doing. I think we were about to... They were trapped, weren't they? They were trapped. That's what we were doing. There they were, trapped on the seabed. Well, the canal bed. I'm just trying to... Also, she told us... Oh, yes, that's right. She told us this is the woman who'd come up to them. There they were, trapped just outside Guildford, if you remember. Oh, Julia's saying it's gorgeous outside. There we go. And she came up to them and she scorned them. She scorned them. And she said, she told us that notices had been circulated to warn all barges and other craft that we ought to have been informed of this before we left Guildford. You can't come in here, Mr. Derrick, they said. You can't come in here, Mr. Derrick. You can't leave him there. So that's where we were. How are they going to get off the bottom of the canal? Repairs being done. That's right. Thank you very much, Cooper. We offered her anything to get us assistance. Anything. And we pleaded that we knew not the state of the water before we found ourselves stuck fast, that we only required about half a foot or more to float us, and that a mile further on we should reach the next lock, where we should get into deep water again. The old lady thereupon became more amiable, and told us where a lock-keeper could be found, who alone could help us in this disastrous emergency. We had, however, to send the groom on the pony in search of the man, who was at work about a mile off. Nice to have your own groom with you, isn't it? Do you remember Groom Kirby? Anyone tell me where the name Groom Kirby comes from? What piece of... I don't want to give it away. What piece of... What would you call it? Entertainment. Just Groom Kirby. Mr. Groom Kirby. You must know this. You must know. Nigel Sadler says, build a cat roof hedgehog feeding area. Right. Yes, Mr. Groom Kirby. But nobody knows. Nobody knows, do they? They don't know anything. Anyway, I'm waiting. Somebody's Googling it now, and it's going to tell me any second now. Any second. They're Googling away. Groom Kirby. Where does that come into it? If I use the name Jonathan Miller, that might lead a clue. No, nothing. In the meantime, we sat under the umbrellas in the broiling sun, studying our journey and what was best to be done. At this junction, a large herd of formidable-looking oxen, having drawn themselves up in a line, charged down upon us with lowered heads and tails erect, threatening us with instant annihilation. I could fancy what the feelings of some of my fair friends would have been had they been obliged, as we were, to sit out the fierce charge. The animals, however, on reaching the bank of our almost dried-up canal, seemed to be as much astonished as we were at finding it empty, and after snorting at us for some time, as if chaffing at us with our ridiculous position, turned tail and charged back again to the other end of the field. Lee Lawson can't find Groom. Groom Kirby, Mr. Groom Kirby. Come on, goodness sake. Oh, I don't know. I have to tell you, won't I? Mr. Groom Kirby, famous character from that wonderful Theatre of the Absurd by N.F. Simpson, One-Way Pendulum. Beautiful, wonderful film with Jonathan Miller in it and Eric Sykes and others. I tell you who else was in it. What was her name? I'll tell you who she is. Oh, she was brilliant in it. Oh, I can't remember her name now. Oh, it'll come to me. Big woman of the 1960s. Big as in big, loud. Oh, what was her name? Anyway, never mind. You're talking amongst yourselves. Am I actually broadcasting? Is it going? Are you actually acknowledging anything? I don't think you even know I'm here. Oh, well, I'll just persevere. I know, I don't want to upset Andrew. Where are we? Right, here we go. Yes, so the man now made his appearance, and after repeating what had been told before us, he said he could get us more water, but it would be a very expensive affair. After a while, 1/2 crown smoothed matters, and it occurred to him that he might be able to give us enough to get on with without flooding the works at the mill. He had, however, to go back to the lock above and let down the water for us, which obliged us to wait for another hour. By and by, the joyful exclamation of "Here's the water!" escaped our lips, and soon we found our little craft afloat again, and out of its difficulties once more. All these contretemps had detained us so long that we were very doubtful that we would get on to Loxwood that night, which, after Bramley, was the only place where we could get board and lodgings. After passing through this shallow part, the canal flows under the railway bridge of the South Eastern, and at this point we took leave of the River Wey, which branches off to the right on its way to Godalming and Fareham. Here, the river deepened considerably, but immediately after became even shallower than before, and we had just sufficient water to bring us to the lock above, not, however, without much difficulty. The junction of the Wey and the Surrey and Sussex Canal is called Stonebridge, taking its name from an old bridge which crosses the canal just above. The canal between Shalford, near Guildford, and Stonebridge appears to be in different hands, for we were here called upon to pay a toll of 1 shilling, and right glad we were to find ourselves on the Surrey and Sussex Canal. This part of the country is uninteresting. The Horsham and Guildford branch of the London, Brighton and South Coast line runs along the riverbank. We presently came to a large tan yard on the left, and 2 more locks brought us to Bramley. At Bramley Lock we made the acquaintance of Mr. Stanton, the superintendent of the canal at Guildford End. He was good-natured and gave us all the information we required, beside offering us the run of his kitchen garden, rich in gooseberries and currants. I like gooseberries. Do you like gooseberries? I like gooseberries. I like gooseberries. Do you like gooseberries? I said that. The Surrey and Sussex Canal is worked by a company who procure the water from certain reservoirs not far distant, and in dry summers it frequently happens that the reservoir cannot provide the necessary supply. The result is that the whole navigation is at a standstill until the next rains are good enough to start it afresh. The company is therefore obliged to be very particular that their water is not wasted. They have, in consequence, laid down a rule that no pleasure craft of any sort is to pass through their canal without they have a bargee on board. Without having a bargee on board who thoroughly understands the working of the locks, and he is bound to shut them after passing through in order to keep the water up as much as possible. Peggy Mount, thank you. Audrey Forbes Hamilton, you get the Peggy Mount. Oh, I like Peggy Mount. Peggy Mount was hilarious. Peggy Mount's the woman that comes up in one-way pendulum and eats all the food that's not been eaten. And they're so apologetic in the family, the Groom Kirby family, that the food has not yet been eaten by everybody else. And she comes and they say, oh, I'm ever so sorry. We've got all this cake. Can you manage it? And she's, just give it to me. I'll eat it. Don't worry about that. Oh, side of beef here and a whole chicken. Couldn't manage the whole. Don't worry. I'll eat it for you. It's theatre of the absurd, you understand. Absolutely. Theatre of bit. It's fantastic play. It's on YouTube. If you want a recommendation for one of those boring rainy days, you've got nothing else to do, look at One Way Pendulum. One Way Pendulum by N.F. Simpson. It's hilarious. 15 stone, 10 pound. There's a quote for you. Jonathan Miller, as the younger son, is teaching Speak Your Weight machines to sing. That's the sort of what's the word? Caliber that that this is. 15. He teaches. It's hilarious. I haven't seen it for years. I must watch it again. And there's some fantastic lines that the judge delivers. I bought the play from French's. It's fantastic. I remember Peggy. Anyway, sorry. Andrew Norris will be whipping me. Whip. Ooh. I say, steady on. Do so mi so do so do so mi so do so do so mi so do so. 15 stone, 10 pound. Oh, you gotta love it. Anyway, so there we are. Keep the water up. The Surrey and Sussex Canal forms the connecting link between the rivers Wey and Arun, thereby completing the through navigation from the sea at Littlehampton to the Thames at Weybridge. How long this connecting link will be available seems doubtful, for the whole of this canal is, I understand, to be put up for immediate auction. In fact, considering the great expense in procuring water, the competition of the railway and the small amount of traffic, it is impossible that it can pay its way. It will be a sad pity if it ceases to exist, for the scenery after leaving Bramley is most lovely, and we thoroughly enjoyed our trip. The original estimate for completing this canal is said to have been £71,000. Our little vessel being so small, we had not intended to proceed to sea in her until we reached Chichester Harbour, for on examining the maps we found a canal marked out between Ford, near Arundel, to Chichester Harbour. This we had meant to use, and sailing from Chichester Harbour to come out into the Solent at Langston Harbour and Hayling Island. Mr. Stanton, who I should mention is a coal merchant, and whose barges are constantly working through to Littlehampton, informed us to our dismay that this canal no longer exists. In fact, there is now but small trace of it. Golly, isn't that interesting? Because I've made some videos walking along parts of that canal and podcasts too. The one from Ford, the Ford cut to Chichester, that goes through Yapton, and there is a fantastic bridge, canal bridge, in Yapton. Is it in Yapton? It's near Yapton. And on an estate, a modern estate. You go into this estate and there's these modern houses from the 1980s. And then there's this canal bridge. It's superb, absolutely superb. I must have done a Bald Explorer, I think I did, with Martin Snow years and years ago. Martin Snow, years and years ago. Mr. Groom Kirby, next to Kevin Turvey. Anyway, Vobe's show has started early, says Farmer Giles. Yes, thank you. At least it wasn't Farmer Piles. Hello there, I'm Farmer Piles. That caused a stir this morning. But let's not go there. Oh yes, has it done that? Mr. Stanton, there we are. He says it's no longer here, no trace of it. He said that it had not been used for 11 years, had been trodden in by cattle, filled in places, and now was quite dry. It behoved us, therefore, before proceeding further, to hold a council of what was to be done. Could we trust ourselves in our frail craft, which was only about 1.5 feet above water, to the mercy of the waves around the headland of Selsey Bill and off the rough coast surrounding? Or should we return to Guildford and put her on the train, giving up our contemplated trip further? We decided the latter, and got on the train to Guildford. Here endeth the book. Wait. What are these pages with words in? He lieth. We had serious doubts as how our little vessel would behave in a seaway, for we had never as yet been to sea in her, and to look at, she appeared but a cockle shell. The various delays of this day had run so away with our time that we found it quite late before we reached Bramley, where we had to bait our pony and pull up for a refreshment. We therefore agreed that it would be best not to try to get on further that day, as Loxwood was 12 miles ahead, with about 21 locks to open on the way. More time would be wanted to procure a bargee to accompany us, and we had yet not made up our minds whether to go on or not. After eating our luncheon, we took a stroll through the pretty village of Bramley, and through a beautiful park, where we sat on the borders of a lake under the shade of the trees, watching a man catching bait and casting a net, and considering what would be our best course. At first we were adverse to proceeding on our journey, as we did not wish to run any serious risk, which we might do were we to put to sea at Littlehampton. Still, the weather was fine, with a fair wind from the south-east, which made it very tempting. If, on the other hand, the weather should break up, and it became too rough for us to venture out to sea, we might be detained some time at Littlehampton, which would have been a serious inconvenience, for we were hurrying on to join a party to see the Naval Review at Spithead in honour of the Sultan. The Sultan? Yes, the Sultan pepper. This reading with Vobes. Different show, different channel, says Rammy Boo. We never intended to go to sea, said Edward Moulding. We never intended to go to sea, sir? Did we not? No, sir. We never intended it at all. This vehicle is by land. Is it? For land? Yes, sir. We never intended to go to sea. I see. I would like to go back in time and act in some of those old black and white movies. Can anyone arrange it for me? I'd like to do that. I'd like to have reason enough to speak in the old accents of the day. Yes, sir. I really think that you should change your mind. Do you really? Do you really think that? Yes, I really do. If you carry on with this course, only something terrible will happen. What do you mean? What could you possibly mean? Well, for a start, you may have an accident. An accident? I will take every precaution. Well, it's all very well you saying that, but you cannot foresee the future. Yes, I know that, but one can prepare for the future. Every possible adverse future. Yes, that... Anyway, sorry, waffling again. Wouldn't it be nice? It's a sort of part of England that I feel very attuned to. Anyway, they're all laughing like mad. I thought Farmer Giles was being sarcastic, says the lovely Julia. Yeah. No, he wasn't being sarcastic. Oh, are there? Well, you know... Farmer Giles. Oh, I see. Yes, Farmer Giles. Oh, yes, sorry. I thought you said Farmer Pyle. Sorry about it. Anyway. So there they are, doing all this. He's got to go in honour of the Sultan. Anyone know what Sultan he was talking about in 1868? The Sultan of Brunei, is it? The Sultan of Brunei? There's a sort of vague cloud of memory that comes into mind. The Sultan of Brunei? Dunai? I don't know what it is. We therefore decided on returning and made our best way back to the loch. We lost no time in embarking and set out on our return journey through the 3 lochs to Stonebridge. We had, however, to get through the shallows again, and now there was not the excuse that we were ignorant of this part of the canal that was stopped. But we trusted that the water we should bring down the loch added to what was given us in the morning, and would be of ample use. Alas, we were wrong, for just as we were entering the water, we stuck as fast again. We felt in a somewhat ridiculous position. I'm not at all surprised. Could we send our friend for the second time to get us into more water? Would he not laugh us to scorn? Still, we had nothing for it but to get hold of him again, and we therefore sent a lad to ferret him out. Please, sir, would you come? They're stuck on the shallows. What? They're stuck again, are they? What's the matter with these people? You can't make up their minds, can't they? What's going on then? I'll give them a piece of my mind. You tell them to bog off. I've got things to do. Now come here, Bessie. Is probably what happened. Probably. Still, we had nothing for it but to get hold of him, and we therefore sent a lad to ferret him. He was easily found this time, for he was busy haymaking, not playing with Bessie, not 2 fields off. We showed him another £0.50. Thanks so much. That's 2 half-crowns. That's like half a sixpence is better than half a farthing, is better than half a halfpenny, is better than none. Do you remember that? Anyway, Tommy Steele, good old Tommy Steele. Whatever happened to Tommy Steele? He's still alive, isn't he, Tommy Steele? Anyway. Knocking the knobs. I keep knocking the knobs on the desk here. We can't have that. So he took another £0.50, did he? And we explained our case to him and how we found that Arundel and Portsmouth Canal was a myth. After some parley, he set off to shut the lower lock, which he had opened to let the water off after we'd passed up in the morning. All this occupied an hour, during which time we sat in our boat, lamenting the necessity of having to go back. Oh, woe is me, I wish we didn't have to go. At this moment, a bargee passing us cried out, "Hello, sir! I thought you were bound for Littlehampton." He was a man to whom we had spoken in the morning, and whom we had been anxious to go with us through the locks. When we told him our predicament, he strongly advised us to persevere, assuring us that we would still have fine weather with a calm sea around Selsey Bill. As it required but a feather to turn the scale, this set us thinking again. Had we not better go on? The toss of half a crown settled the point. For heads was the cry, which we had arranged we should before proceeding. It fell to heads, just as the additional water reached us. Oh, my God, what clumsy oafs. We entered Stonebridge Lock for the third time, determined. So they, there they are saying, well, we got to be careful about the water around here. And we have to have a bargee, make sure that no one mucks about and messes about with the water. And there's like, no, we're going back. No, we're going this way. No, we're going... Well, wait your bloody mind up. We can't afford the water, you swines. What a nightmare. Absolute J.B. Dashwood. Dashwood, dash here, dash there. That would be the scale of it. Anyway, so they tossed it. We entered the Stonebridge Lock for the third time, determined that nothing would send us back again. In the process of time, we got to Bramley once more, much to the surprise of Mr. Stanton and the natives. God blimey, you're back. Yes, it was too late to proceed farther that day, so we deposited our goods in safekeeping in Mr. Stanton's stores and set out in search of dinner and lodging for the night. We were advised to try the Grantley Arms at Wannerish, a village to the left of the canal, about half a mile distant. Is the Grantley Arms still there? Is it worth looking? We set off to mount the hill, followed by the groom and pony. On arriving at the Grantley Arms, we found it a poky little inn, where, of course, we could get no accommodation, so back we had to come and try our luck at Bramley. This was worse still, and we began to doubt whether we should ever find rooms to the night. But the old saying, never say die, held good in our case, for in our search we had to pass by the railway station, where we noticed a crowd of people evidently waiting for a train. The idea at once struck us. Let us go where the train will take us and return in the morning. On inquiry, to our joy, we heard a train for Guildford was due in. And giving instructions to the groom to get a bed at the Bramley Inn. Oh, it's all right for the groom, isn't it? Yeah, we're going off to slum it in Guildford. You can stay in Bramley, where there's no rooms and there's nothing. Righto, boss, whatever you say, I'll sleep under the horse. That's what I'll do. Yes, that's so poor old groom. He had to have a bed in Brimley and a stall for the pony. So we got on the train and started back to Guildford. We put up for the night at the White Hart, in my opinion, the best hotel in Guildford, where we regaled ourselves with a capital dinner and were thankful that we were not at the Grantley Arms at Wannerish. Tommy Steele is 84. Is he? Good gracious, he's good. I'm glad. Good old Tommy Steele. I hope he's got all his eggs in his own basket. He had a lovely smile. They need a dredger on that canal, says Turbo. Very funny, Richard, says Stephen Agate. Good. Adol Aziz Khan, Sultan of Turkey, visited Britain in 1867. Oh, well, there we are. That's what it is. Thank you, Lee Lawson. Does he mean HMS Sultan sunk in 1868? Oh, was it? So the Sultan Abdul Aziz Khan, Sultan of Turkey, visited Britain in 1868. They obviously had a boat made in his name, and then it sunk the following year. Gosh, that's interesting. The Sultan of Swing. Yes, I do need subtitles on when they talk proper. I don't need subtitles. Yes, of course. Played with aplomb and distinction. Thank you very much. Yes, of course. I'd like to do that. I'd need both eyes to go back there. The Grantley Arms is still there, says Justine Jones, and it looks nice. Shall we have a quick look? Let's have a quick poke at the Grantley Arms in Wannerish or whatever it's called. How is it pronounced? Wannerish? Wannish? Wannerish. It is something like that. Grantley Arms, la 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 la. Grantley Manor. Oh, hang on a minute, I spelled it wrong this way. Grantley Arms. Oh, it's nearly payday, isn't it? Here it is. Yes. Oh, now look. That doesn't look pokey. I don't know that I'm not warming to this Mr. Dashwood. He does seem a little odd. The Grantley Arms. Let's have a. Where's the? You had a lovely picture just now. Where's it gone? Oh, here we are. Oh, hang on a minute. Let's see. Background image. There we are. That'll do. Hang on. I'm coming. Look at that. The Grantley Arms. My goodness, I'd like to stay there. If anyone from the Grantley Arms is looking and you care to have a bit more promotion, just bear in mind that the Voby One-Eyed Kenobi would like to stay there free of charge. Thank you. And I will promote it to the highest esteem. Look at those wonderful little lead light windows, those diamond windows with those wonderful small timber-framed house. When is it date from? Probably something like 1621. Is it? Is that where it dates from? 1621? Somebody will know. It looks very nice. It's Wannerish. Isn't that what I said? Wannerish. Wannerish. Nice place for a Listen Vobes convention. Oh, yes. Pokey. I know it's not pokey, is it? Who said it was pokey? Well, our author said it was pokey. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Stupid man. I have to tell you, we're halfway through. We're halfway through. Yes, very nice. This is chapter 4, ladies and gentlemen. Chapter 4. The following morning, we left Guildford for Bramley by the 7:20 train, which got us there, in about a quarter of an hour. Our groom was waiting for us at the station, so that they must have texted him ahead. Leaving Guildford on the 7:20 express. Please wait at station with Neddy, our pony. Send. What does it say there? You can't quite see that. My glass is not so good. Could you read that? I don't know. I've not seen this. What is that then? It's mobile phone. Mobile what? Mobile phone. Mobile bone? Phone. I'm in connection with my master, see? So I knows where to go. I don't understand. There's words on it. Yeah, but can you read them? No, I never learned to read. I wish I could. It's very nice, though. What do you do with it? Oh, never mind. I'll just go to the station and wait. A little moment there of real history. Our groom was waiting for us at the station. We wanted our groom, but we had to settle for a groom, and we at once dispatched him to fetch the pony. Fool! Didn't you bring the pony with you? Sorry, sir. I didn't say that on... you did say that in the text. I didn't quite read it properly. I'll have a word with that woman. Whilst we made the best of our way down to the locks, where there, in fact, we found a bargee lad, George Cox by name, about 19 years of age, and whom Mr. Stanton had procured to pioneer us through the locks, armed with his own winch, which enabled me to return the one lent to us by the boatman at Guildford. Before starting, Mr. Stanton demanded a toll of 5 shillings from us for our way bill to Newbridge, the terminus of the Surrey and Sussex Canal Company, and we got off at 8:30 en route for Loxford and Billingshurst, at the latter of the places we proposed to halt for the night. Here is a picture of a low bridge on which they will be passing. There it is. Hope you saw it. Hang on, get that. It's not very light. A low bridge, ladies and gentlemen. Nice old bridge, isn't it? That's a giant's hand clawing at the side of the low bridge. 3 fingers, just like they draw in cartoons. And Julia says you can Google Street View walk through the pub at Wannerish. Can you? Gosh, I didn't know you could do that. Is it nice? I bet it's nice on the inside. I bet it's lovely. The Sultan of Brunei in 1868 was a British soldier who tamed the natives. Oh. I think they call it telegram then. Oh, yes, may have been a telegram he used. Piece of paper instead of a phone. May have got that wrong. Anyway, the scenery immediately on quitting Bramley becomes lovely, and we were still blessed with the most splendid water. The canal winds its way under the shade of woods on each side, which comes quite down to the water's edge, where the water lilies, both white and yellow, were floating in profusion. The birds were singing most energetically, as if to make up for lost time during the past wet and cold spring and summer, and the little moorhens ducked under water with wild screams on all sides as we approached. We here passed through the property of Lord Grantley, Green Place. The lowest of bridges span the canal at intervals, under some of which our mast almost shaved the top, and we had to be most careful to steer for the very centre of the arches. Isn't there a radio series called The Arches? Bum ba dum ba dum ba dum bum ba dum ba dum bum. Oh yeah, no, you be careful when you get your mast under them arches. Is it somewhere like that? In Borchester, I think it was. Bloody arrow. I wonder who shot that. Oh, that was the rival radio series, of course. It was most fortunate that I had had the towing mast reduced from 8 to 7 feet in length before starting, for had it been 1 inch higher, we would have been obliged to unship at every bridge we came to. From time to time, or get a saw out and just chop the thing down, in time to time we had to open small iron drawbridges. But we got on this day much faster than before, for our pioneer, knowing what was coming, could always run ahead to prepare the way for us. He was a most energetic youth, and in spite of the intense heat of the broiling sun, would rush from one lock to the other at great pace. The swing gates, which had hitherto impeded our progress, tormented us even more on this day, for the provoking people, not content with single gates, had made them double, so that it was now impossible to ride through them, and at almost every field the groom had to dismount to free the towing rope, causing considerable delay. After enjoying this delicious cool shade for a distance of about 2 miles, we were forced to brave the scorching rays of a morning sun. It was well for us that we had started early, for the sun had not yet reached its full power, and we had to pass through about 5 miles of flat, open, heathery common and water meadows before we again entered into a charming country, well known, in fact, as the Weald of Surrey. Murray tells us that we should traverse a portion of this Weald country, with its fine old farmhouses, relics of the prosperous old times of the Weald, its old ponds, vestiges of many iron furnaces of former days, its old families of yeomen and labourers, and wide-stretching oak plantations, still maintaining it for some of its primal character. Cobbett says of the real Weald of Sussex that it is a country where, strictly speaking, only 3 things will grow well: grass, wheat, and oak trees. Into these beautiful oak plantations we now entered by a perfectly straight and deep cutting, about 1.5 miles in length, with numbers of low stone bridges crossing the canal at intervals, which presented a very striking effect. It is from these highlands that many of the tributaries of the River Wey and Arun spring. Hindhead, not many miles distant, being the watershed of this district. Our route now lay through the most refreshing and picturesque country of a broken and undulating character, densely clothed with forest of oak trees, opening out and giving peeps into deep hollows, verdant with luxuriant ferns and purple heather. Here and there were breaks in the woodland, and the small round hills, rich in pasture, appeared, the ancient folds of the Weald. Ooh. And in the ancient folds of the Weald lurked primitive man, with his spear in hand. Take the helm! I'm going! Kiss me, Hardy! Sorry, that didn't happen. That did not happen. We now commenced to make our descent towards the sea, and lock after lock followed each other in rapid succession, there being no less than 11 in 1 mile. Soon after passing through the last, we arrived at Loxwood at about 1:30. Here we made our midday halt. I wonder if they went to the pub, because there's a pub there. I've had a meal at the pub. And whilst the little pony was resting, we sat in the shade of a big oak tree, regaling ourselves with the good fare that had brought us there. Loxwood is a small place and boasts of a neat, clean little inn close by the canal side, and I think I might safely recommend it for sleeping quarters, although, being early in the day, we did not pull up there, but pressed forward to Billingshurst. Let's just have a quick look at the Oxford, because that is the bit on the Way and Arun Canal that you can actually go and have pleasure rides. I had walked there and I've made some videos. Turbo says he's loving today's reading. Oh, marvellous. Oh, do we have a ding for picturesque? Fantastic. Kismet, Hardy. Kismet. Let me just see if we can find Loxwood Canal Inn Pub. Yeah, Loxwood Canal Pub. The Onslow Arms. That's what it is. The Onslow Arms. Onslow Arms, stick it up your nose, it's the Onslow Arms, temporarily closed. I wonder why that is. Is there some sort of virus going or something? Oh, they're all pretending there's this virus. Here it is, down here, look. Down there, if we get our little fella, we can have a look. There it is. I think the lovely Julia's been there, haven't you? Did you come with us? I can't remember. Part down that end. I've been here. The cheese man. Look, the cheese man is there. Oh, lovely bit of cheese. The old cheese man, stick it up your nose. And look, there's some barge boats there. I've walked all down here, all round there. I've eaten. That's the table I sat at over there. And that's the table I accidentally fell off after 3 pints of the wrong stuff. That's the high street there. And on the other side of the water, it's a slough bridge by the looks of things. Here it is. Look. There, look at that charming bridge. And a lock at Loxwood. Curious, isn't it? Locks at Loxwood. I'm sure the name Loxwood is older than the locks at Loxwood. But anyway, there we are. And they go down to Billingshurst. Well, of course, it doesn't go to Billingshurst. It goes near Billingshurst. And there's that very narrow bridge that we all have to stop at Billingshurst. We all know that bridge, don't we? Apart from people who don't know it, of course. How are we doing? We're doing all right. Cheese. And the cheese man. Yes, the cheese man. Dave over yonder. Beautiful. I think there's a horse-drawn canal boat that you can ride in at Loxwood, says Justine Jones. Is that right? Oh, that would be lovely. You just feel like you're on the Thames to the Solent, wouldn't you? With a pony dragging the boat along. Anyway, that was a little diversion. So where did we get to? While I was quietly enjoying my pipe... Oh, there we are. I'm going to have to get myself a pipe, you know. I want a pipe. Puff, puff. Sit here puffing away. Giving myself cancer. Whilst I was quietly enjoying my pipe after lunch, my curiosity was raised by seeing a man amusing himself I say it's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Can't possibly read any more, I'm afraid. We'll get thrown off the... Oh, wait a minute. Amusing himself, throwing a large stone into the canal attached to a long line, which he hauled in again and flung back again over and over. Don't tell me it's one of those giant magnets where they're sort of pulling out all the stuff. We find out what it is. That's curious, isn't it? On approaching him, I soon discovered his little dodge, for I beheld a number of small branches floating about in all directions, to which fine gut lines and hooks were attached, wherewith to ensnare the wily fish, somewhat on the principle of a trimmer. These boughs he had got to land by means of his stone, which he flung over them and then drew them ashore. Oh, that's clever. I did not see him catch anything, although I watched him for some time, but he assured me that he had been very successful by this plan, and had at times secured pike and other fish of large size. At 3 p.m. we started again on our way to Billingshurst, 5 miles distant from Loxwood, and 17 from Bramley. There are 5 locks between Loxwood and Newbridge. Sorry, got an itch. The country here is decidedly ugly, with flat water meadows on either side. The canal at this point became exceedingly weedy, and I was obliged to stand forward, I suppose they would say, but he's put forward here, to clear the boughs from the weeds that clung to her. Just before reaching Newbridge, they became so thick that it seemed almost impossible to cut our way through them, and this was the spot where the steamer we had seen at Guildford had come to grief. At Newbridge Lock, now I've been to Newbridge Lock. That rings a bell. Newbridge Lock. I'm just trying to think where Newbridge Lock. I'm sure I've been there. Yes. If I remember rightly, very nice chap who I don't know that we're still in the Bald Explorer group, and I did some drone flying. He flew his drone and I did this video, and it's on the Bald Explorer channel somewhere, and we go to Newbridge Lock. Just curious. I know time is ticking, but I'm just curious to see. I can't remember what it was. It was like a drone test or something, but I'll see if I can quickly find the video. Vobes. Drone. Newbridge. It might have been Newbridge Lock. I'm sure it was Newbridge Lock. Canal at Newbridge. That's me walking along. First drone. Experiments with a drone. Oh, yes. Here it is. I'm Richard Vobes. Oh, can you hear that? No, I don't know whether you can hear it or not, but it doesn't matter. Hang on. Look at that handsome devil. God, you don't see much of him these days, do you? Whatever happened to him? Here we go. I think this is the lock here. We don't need to hear it, but these are some views coming up to the lock. Let's get myself a drone. And there's the canal, what was. And I think you can see the river here. I think that's the lock that we've just gone over. And then there's the river and it joins. Oh, this is me in the lock. What am I saying? Am I saying anything useful? The barges would have come in here. And we can see it's the lock because although it doesn't have the lock gates, there is the recesses in the lock sides, which is all made of brick and looks particularly beautiful on either side. And in particular, this side's got a slightly larger recess and a slightly smaller one over here. But it's quite a lengthy lock, I can tell you, as you can now see. Goes way back. And I'll run back down to the other end here. So you get a vague idea. Whoops, I nearly slipped over. So, hello, here am I. It's marvellous. Anyway, there we are. Golly, that's... turn that off for a minute. There we go. Anyway, there we are. It was, I don't know who he ought to do as like, more of that sort of stuff, walking about the countryside, showing things off. He'd be quite good at it. I don't know what happened to him. Anyway, the road goes over the canal at Newbridge. Does it? Can't see any roads there. Oh, is that the King's Lock? Is that the next one down? That might be the next one down. Maybe I started there. Anyway, I can't remember. It's anyway at Newbridge Lock. Our pilots, yes. Hang on a minute. Wait a minute. The country there has decided. Oh yes, we covered at Newbridge Lock. Our pilot George Cox left us. We paid him his fee of 10 shillings. Have I just lowered my microphone a bit? Yeah, there we are. We paid him 10 shillings, and he returned to Bramley. They just left him there, poor bugger. He had been very civil and most active and energetic, and was one of the greatest assistants to us. If any of my readers undertake this trip from Thames to the sea by canal, they could not do better by engaging this fellow's services from Bramley to Newgate. I'm going to give them a ring. I'm going to give them a ring and see if I can get George Cox to come and help, because I think he would be perfect. I wonder if he's still around. He'd be pretty old, but I'm sure he's still sprightly these days. Anyway, about a mile below the lock, we came to Newbridge, a fine stone bridge. Oh, yes, Lee's quite right. That's the next one down. I've just showed you the next lock down. I can't remember what it's called, but Newbridge, that's right, Newbridge. Of course, Newbridge, because of the bridge. That's the bridge I was talking about, the one that you have to wait, and it's quite narrow. Yes, about a mile below the lock, we came to Newbridge, a fine stone bridge, where we brought up for the day. It was about 5:30. Oh, yes, and that's where you'd go into Billingshurst. And it took a little time to collect our goods together, anchor our craft, and clean and stow everything away safely. Immediately upon arrival, we dispatched the groom on the pony to Billingshurst, a distance of almost 1.5 miles, to secure rooms and dinner. And after getting all shipshape aboard, we ourselves started for the village. The road led us uphill through a rich open country, highly cultivated, and on our right was the range of the South Downs, with the well-known Danish encampment of Chantonbury Ring. Danish? Is it that well-known? Danish? Where they have Danish bacon, apparently. Where I, and I have no doubt many others, have spent a jolly day picnicking. Yes, I have actually spent a jolly day picnicking there. In the Saxon language, hurst means a wood. Thus, Brockenhurst signifies the wood of the badger, Lyndhurst, the linden wood, Holdenhurst, the grove of oaks, etc., etc. Billingshurst, therefore, means Billings Wood, Billing being the name of a great Saxon tribe. The village of Billingshurst lies on the Roman Stane Street, which ran from Chichester to London, Billingsgate being probably the end of the road. We found it a charming little place with a neat, clean inn. The King's Arms. Oh, yes. Now, I made a video in Billingshurst where I go past the King's Arms. And having secured... That's, if you search for Board Explorer Billingshurst, you'll find that one. And having secured our rooms and changed our attire, we had the gratification of sitting down to as good a dinner as I believe is possible to get in a quiet country village. Everything was fresh and good of its kind. Eggs, butter, bread, fruit, cream, all excellent. And our mutton chops done to a turn with excellent beer and very fair sherry. I think Cobbett stayed there. Somebody else famous stayed there. I'm trying to think who it was. I think Cobbett also stayed there. After dinner, we took a stroll up the village. It was a lovely evening, and all seemed peaceful and happy. Little family groups sitting at the entrance doors of their houses, others strolling up and down the hilly street, while young ones besported themselves on all sides. What does that mean, besported? Is that like sort of, mucking about in a sporty fashion, I suppose? Judging from appearances, the old men we saw crawling about in every direction must have been drunk. The place must be most healthy, which doubtless is the case, for it stands on high ground and appeared beautifully clean and thriving. Billingshurst Church is worth a visit. The south side is very early Norman, and the rest perpendicular. Before retiring for the night, we had to make arrangements for the morrow, as we were anxious to start very early in the morning, if possible, to press on to Littlehampton the same evening, added to which, on approaching the sea, we had to consider the tides, which would first reach us at Waltham Lock, the last lock on our journey, about 3 miles above Amberley. We found that the tide ebbed at Waltham at 12 p.m, so that in order to get there on the first of the ebb, it was necessary that we should make an early start from Billingshurst. We consequently contrived to persuade our good landlady to have us called at 5 a.m, and to have a breakfast ready for us by 5:45. And there endeth that chapter. We're on chapter 5. We're going to leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. We sure is. That was exciting, wasn't it? So that lock, I got that wrong. Newbridge is the other one, of course, but that's the next one long. But it's interesting, just looking there at that countryside. Isn't that remarkable? That is probably, look, what I like about that is a rare glimpse, ladies and gentlemen, a rare glimpse. And by a rare glimpse, hang on, let me just go back here again. What I mean, look, what I mean here, small fields, thick hedges, proper trees. Okay, it's all bloody horrible ryegrass, so it's uniform in colour, and it wouldn't look like that. There would have been beautiful meadows with wild flowers and or crops or animals even. You know, I think that's not what it would have looked like now. With barges coming up and down here, obviously, and here the river, and cattle and sheep, no doubt, and all of that probably. But it is almost like a window on the past of England with the small fields. That's the key point, is the small fields, which would have had different crops in it. Well, we know, and then there's the South Downs. Look, we can see just there on the ridge the South Downs. Isn't that beautiful? Very beautiful. No lockdown in this book. No lockdown. No lockdown in this book. No, they're free. They're free. Before lockdowns were invented. You were at Waltham Lock with Julia near Greatham. Oh yes, that's right. That's true. We were. That's right. Of course you were. Well done, Lee. And Julia will remember it because we went on the reserve, the nature reserve there. We walked around the nature reserve and then we suddenly found it, Waltham Lock. Good God, that's right, of course. It's all clicking into place. Yeah, amazing. That's amazing. And of course that's all gone. It's just under the ground. And we were going, oh look, bits of brick. It is so sad, isn't it? Sad. It's terrible what we've done to this country. It's just dreadful. The steel and glass and all that kind of crap. What we've done to what was once a beautiful and picturesque country, and where, you know, bits of it still are, of course, but so much has gone. It's near Hardham Tunnel. Yeah, that's right. It's just. The thing is, it's the last 80 years since the Second World War. I mean, it was gathering pace, but the Second World War, I do feel, I really wish I was born in an earlier time. I know there's all this wonderful ways to appreciate it, and you wouldn't appreciate it back then. Of course you wouldn't. You wouldn't know any different. But I would like to have lived then. I find all this, the older I get, the more I'm disgruntled with it. But I can't turn the clock back. I can look back, but I can't go back. And one's got to make the most of it. And I enjoy doing this nonsense and mucking about. Anyway, there we are. That's it for this week. Thank you very much. Back again on Monday. We will crack this in 2 days, I reckon, on Monday. So, you know, it's a short book. We'll have to start thinking about the next one and get something ordered. England's green and pleasant land. Absolutely. Whatever happened to that? I mean, admittedly, you know, you get near the towns and it was England's smoggy, coal-ridden land, of course. But rose-tinted glasses, you see. That's what that's how we view things. Anyway, I've got to prepare for the Vogue show a little bit later on, so I'm going to go and get some evening meals sorted out. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been fun. Great book. Thanks, Lee. Different from the last one, but it's, you know, all of these books are fantastic, aren't they? Yes. I think they may restore a lot more waterways because more people are getting into narrowboat. Yeah, well, more people can't afford, and especially after this bloody lockdown situation, there'll be more people who are homeless who will sell their houses and buy up boats and clog up the canals. I bet you. And though, I mean, Julia and I saw them, particularly on the Way and not the Way and Arun Canal, on the first one we went to, the one in Wiltshire, the Kennet and Avon. We just saw so many boats that were wrecks that will never go. Well, they might one day, but they weren't. You know, they were unfloatable, but but they were clinging to the bank. People living on them, in you know, they could just about probably pay their rent in there. They are just dropping in before work, says Jackie. Trainer, nice to see you. And you've let the positivity slip a bit. You've come in at the wrong point. You haven't seen the whole show. You haven't seen. It's a journey. We're on a journey here, you know. We're on a journey. I wonder what The Good Companions would be like to read. Yes. J.B. Priestley's. It's very big, Good Companion. It takes a while to get going. I've read it. It does take some time to get going. His Empire... Empire would be better, about the Empire Theatre. That would be a good one. Empire. I'd like to read that. The Good Companions is massive. Another one that's quite good, but very different, but is a saga, is To Serve Them All Their Days. That's a good one, but that's too long. But Empire could be a good one to read. I think that, and it's deep as well. It's deep. Anyway, brilliant. Thank you so much. Nice to see you all. Look after yourselves, and I will be back on Mundaddy or on the Vogue show tonight, whichever is the greater. Until then, take care. Thanks for watching. Arrivederci. And bye for now. Bye-bye.